Hi. If you remember last week here on the MT and Me, man, we had some excitement. I turned the key and Pearl's engine turned over for the very first time. Oh, it was beautiful. So beautiful that I did it a second time. And then when I tried a third time, well, something went wrong. But that's what we're going to try and figure out today. But you know what? I was so excited last week. I still am, as a matter of fact. Still got the adrenaline flowing. But last week was so exciting because everything seemed to go so well. Nothing rattled. Nothing appears to have broke. Nothing smoked. That's very important. Nothing smoked. Yeah, I might have been just a little premature on that evaluation. You know. Hi, Nobies. Thanks for joining us again here on the MT. Okay, so yeah, a lot of excitement last week. And this week, well, let me start at the beginning here, okay? As I was getting ready to do this week's video, I thought, well, let me get that shot of the fan turning again as we crank the motor up. We'll use that. This is something that in video editing you do a lot. You go back to things you've already recorded and perhaps even used, and you reuse them in order to make a point or to remind everyone of something that's already happened. It's a very common thing. You see it all the time in YouTube videos, in movies, newsreels, all kinds of stuff. So it's a pretty common practice. So I was going back to last week's video, which you've already seen one such clip in the opener where I was talking about no smoke. Yeah, more on that coming up. But anyway, I was going back to that clip of turning the motor over and the beauty of watching Pearl's fan and all the belts and everything in motion. Now, what you don't necessarily know just watching that clip is that it is a cropped shot. All you're seeing is this area right here. The camera, as it is right now, is actually seeing a lot more. So in going back to that clip to crop the shot down and use it again, I noticed something. Here's the full clip. See if you see it. There. Did you catch it? Allow me to zoom in on what I'm talking about. A wisp of smoke. So much for my famous words of, it didn't smoke. And the thing is, I really didn't see this. Now, remember, I was in the cab, basically at the driver's spot, turning the key to make the motor turn over. I'm 3 feet from this alternator on the other side, and I did not notice because I wasn't looking over there. I didn't see it. I didn't smell anything. It really went totally undetected. And if I hadn't have gone back and picked up this little piece of video this week, it could have been much further down the road that I discovered there was a problem. I feel certain I would have discovered it, but the sooner the better, as they say. Anyway, a wisp of smoke appears to be coming out of the top of my alternator. I don't know what caused it, but it seems to happen whenever I turn the key over to start. Because if you look carefully, there's actually a little puff of smoke before the motor even turns over. So as soon as it's energized, it's causing something to burn. This isn't good. No, this isn't good at all. And I'm quite sure it explains why Pearl would not turn over for a third time. Let's take a close look at the alternator and see what we can find. Now, due to the tight confines of Pearl's cockpit and engine compartment, it's just kind of hard to show you a good view of the alternator, but I hope you can see what's going on here. As I look at this, I see what was smoking immediately. It's this red wire. The insulation is burning off of it. Get some light on it here. There. Now, can you see that? It's literally bare wire right there. So that is the source of our smoke. The question is why? I do notice this is loose. It's not tight. Now, I thought I had it tight because I know I had that screw tight, but the connection is obviously not tight. Now that can make a big difference because loose connections are very bad things. And loose wiring is always a problem in electrical circuits. This one, nice and snug. The other thing I'm wondering now is, do I have these polarities correct? Should the green one be here and the red one here? I don't necessarily think they're interchangeable because the brushes are built differently. I don't think it would be possible to get them backwards. But we'll check our wiring on that and be sure. Main thing is, we know where the smoke came from. Now we just have to figure out why. And just standing here right now, thinking about it, I have no idea. All right, let's think about this for a moment, okay? Let's see. Okay, hook the battery up. Got rid of that parasitic drain. Turn the key. Engine turns over. Yeah, just do it for a few seconds because it's not going to start. There's no gas. I'm not even sure if the firing system's working. But anyway, it turns over. That's what I wanted to find out. And bingo, it did. That's good. I get all excited. Yay! Do it again. It turns over. Unbeknownst to me, at that time, we get a wisp of smoke out of the top of the alternator. All right. I'm still all excited. Yes, yes, yes. It works. Pearl turned over. I got to hear it one more time. Click. Nothing. Okay, I think, well, maybe the battery's down. Maybe anything. I don't know, but it worked twice, so hey, all right. I go check the battery, 12.5 volts. By the way, right now, it's reading about 12.53 volts. It's still there, and I have not put a charger on it or anything here for a couple of days. Same thing, all right. Okay, so not battery voltage. That's enough to start a vehicle. Certainly enough to turn it over. Gotta be something else. I don't know. I decided last week that I'll worry about it this week. And in the process of doing the video this week, I discovered the problem. That little wisp of smoke. Now, we know that's from a red wire on the top of the alternator that is just darn near burned in too. I'm not sure why. But we're going to find out by consulting the good book. Alright, let's get to those wiring schematics. Somewhere on here, there is an alternator. Ah, there we are. Okay. Let me show you this. Alternator. Red to F1, green to F2, black to F3. Well, battery. Black to battery. Okay. So F1 is the red wire. Remember that. Let's trace F1 and see where it goes. It goes back to the massive starter junction terminal that just about all of the red wires under the hood connect to. It basically ties the alternator to the voltage regulator, the ballast resistor, and the ignition switch. Okay. Just out of curiosity, where does the green wire go? Oh, it goes to the other side of the voltage regulator. So those are two wires where the voltage regulator reaches the alternator. Now, you remember we replaced the voltage regulator in Pearl some months ago because the old one was totally melted. Remember I said it had that sticky tar substance? Well, it fell off, and obviously this is the one that has melted down. Bleh. So we got a brand new voltage regulator. Doesn't mean it's good, but we got a brand new one. The voltage regulator's job is to turn the alternator on and off based on the battery's voltage. The alternator charges the battery, which in turn runs all the electricals on the vehicle. Everything runs off the battery. A lot of people don't understand that. They think that when the car is running, the alternator is actually powering the car. It's not entirely accurate. From an electrical standpoint, the alternator is just keeping the battery charged. The battery's running everything. Okay? So that's the voltage regulator's job, to tell the alternator when it needs to be putting electricity into the battery and when it doesn't. Which, when you're doing stuff like driving, running the motor, listening to the radio, playing the tape player, whatever. Tape player? We have a tape player. I know most of you probably don't, but Pearl does. Anyway, when you're doing stuff like that, even just having the lights on inside, all that is pulling voltage off the battery, which means that probably the alternator is going to be pumping a little electricity back in. All right? You have a handy little meter on your dashboard that shows voltage that tells you when your battery's charging or discharging. As long as it's in the center or charging, that means your alternator's working pretty good. And we've got that meter, and it seems to work, but since we can't run the engine, we really can't test that anyway. Okay, all that being said, we've determined the red wire is one of the primary voltage wires controlling the function of the alternator. So why would it be smoking when we tried to turn the engine over? Well, I tell you, first thing is going to be being sure it's on the right terminal. And secondly, is getting that connection tightened up on that terminal. First of all, let's take this wire off. Disconnect it. And let's not drop the screw, because that's what started this entire mess before. Okay. You see that? That screw's right there. Don't let me lose it. See if we can get this brush out. Okay. Whole assembly came out. That's good. That's good. Now, of course, this is a new part. We just bought that. Okay? I'm wondering if... I'll start to say I wonder if this is shorting to the case at some point, but you know what? The screw itself would short it to the case, so that's apparently not the issue. But I tell you what, this wire is toast. Look at that. And that means I'm going to have to get some wire, maybe even see if I can track down one of these connectors and get all that replaced. Now, all that is on the assumption that the problem with my smoking was in this connection. I'm kind of going on the possibility that that loose connection could have caused it. Some of you might think no, but I have enough experience in electronics to know that loose connections can be a problem. The reason is, a good connection means just that. The electrons can flow as they should from one point to another. If that connection is loose, then it means they have an intermittent flow, if one at all. In other words, you have resistance. And resistance in electricity causes heat. And heat causes wire to melt. So there, Basic Electronics 101. Here on the MT and Me. Point is, I'm kind of at a stopping place right now. I don't have exactly what I need to continue this job, and I'm not real sure where I'm going to get it. So let me just leave it with you for the time being, and we will come back to this. Good takes out of all this. And there is good news. Most of it last week, when the engine turned over. Not once, but twice. Third time was not the charm. We burned something up then. That's what we have found out this week. Okay, better to find out now than somewhere on down the road. All right, let's fix it, move on. So that's what we will have to do. The battery's holding up well. I'm going to stick the charger on it right here at the end of this video and get that little maintenance charge, get it back up to around 12.7, 12.8. It's at, I think, 12.5.3. I want to get technical, something like that. So it's doing good. and I think if we maintenance back up, we'll be doing just fine. So I want to keep that going. Battery's working good. We don't have any parasitic drains on the battery. We know the engine will turn over. We just have to get past this little issue with the alternator, because I can't drive down the road with it burning up its wires. That would not be a good thing. All right. If you have ideas or comments about this, there are plenty of you out there that know more electricity than me, particularly, as I've said before, when it comes to automotive electricity. I know basics. I know electronics. I know radio broadcasting. I know how transmitters work. I know the basics about how an alternator works and what the circuit's like in a car, but I don't have a lot of practical experience. If you do and you got an idea, give me some feedback, please. Comment below. Send a carrier pigeon with a message. Get word to me some way or another, because I really, really need to know what you're thinking and what your ideas are. So let's hear from you. All right. As always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you have not done that. Please give me thumbs ups on this and all the other videos. And join me again next week when maybe I can pull together some items to do a little repair here and continue to investigate the problem of the smoking alternator. Next episode, next week, here on the MT and Me. Till then, I'm Russ. Thanks, as always. I love you, Nobies. We'll talk later.